I've experienced some giving in my life that I don't know. I don't know if I have a specific story. I think the most impactful thing in my life on the topic has been receiving true giving, being on the receiving end of energy that is being given to me for my advancement as, for my soul level advancement, like for my best interest, for everything's best interest, being on the receiving end of that, it's transformative. And you don't always, in my experience, I didn't really know, I couldn't see it when it was in my life fully, which is so interesting. And in reflecting, it's total acceptance, it's knowing someone will tell you the truth no matter what, in my experience. It's being really looked out for. And in my personal experience, it was a hard situation, sort of like tough love, very tough love, but very helpful love. That's been what's transformed me the most in my life. It's a tricky thing to serve that kind of love too. It's tricky because you do open yourself up to, if you aren't interested at all in, and I'm talking now about, yeah, giving your attention, giving your voice, giving your presence to someone else and being real with them. It's very powerful. Really, really doing it for the other person and not for yourself. I think I learned this by receiving it person to person. And, in talking about this right now, it's funny because we're all receiving it every day. I'm receiving that same type of giving every day from nature itself, every single day. Selfless giving every day. Doesn't get anything back. We've stepped away as a Western society from seeing nature as conscious, but it's certainly alive, growing, communicating, sensing, and it's providing for everybody. So, yeah, a human to human experience changed my relationship with giving, but every day now the practice is seeing the truth in front of me, which is that all of life is doing this. Even your enemy is giving you something, everything. And it's a perspective to walk into, and it's a gratitude perspective. It's appreciating what's here now, accepting it, and understanding that if you choose right, it can all be for your highest purpose.
What have your enemies given you?
I think they've taught me lessons. I don't hold them in my heart as continued enemies. But I think in reflecting, and really being honest with myself about all those situations, it was me. It was always me. I was at war with myself. Sure, I didn't like how they were behaving, thinking of like a work enemy. She bugs me because her actions impact people around her, but it's an understandable initial impulse to treat this person like an enemy, but they're just being them. It is what it is. And we all have to show up to situations and work with what is there. So I learned that I should have been doing more, yeah, giving to myself and adjusting personally rather than blaming others for my circumstances. I mean, enemies are kind of like fears, like they're doorways into understanding. You know, hate is just the lack of understanding. And it's trusting that everything is working to propel us forward. Because if you go outside on any given day, or if even inside, existence is magic. It is. It's magical. Even having a body, being in a body, all of this, it's incredible. And that doesn't change. It doesn't change because of anyone or any happenings. That's still true.
I'm sitting with your words and also not sure what to ask next. Yeah, you've really explained giving beautifully.
I wrote in a reflection, giving is directing energy away from oneself for the benefit of all.
Hmm.
I wrote also, we are each a manifestation of the all. Giving to an other is really giving to the self. Fear of giving links back to a false idea of ownership. Keeping awareness of what
Wow.
giving will help each individual is critical. False idea
It,
of ownership. Yeah.
yeah, sorry, can you repeat that again?
Yeah. Fear of giving links back to a false idea of ownership. I've had some life experience like this where you possess a unique object, such as I'm going to use pepper seeds as an example. And you have these really special pepper seeds, and you made them. You made the seeds, you crossbred them. You sat with them for 2 years working with them. They're yours. And you give the pepper seeds to someone and you want to know, hey, don't give my pepper seed, keep these to yourself type thing.
Mm.
And I've had to reflect on that, and I've been sort of held held to truth in the past by a friend of mine who checked me and told me kind of, you are valued, and like that's not how you should be weighing your value. And I think it really helped me. And on like a deeper level, regarding the quote again, which is fear of giving links back to a false idea of ownership. Yeah, like the peppers were crafted by the human, but they really weren't. And
Mhm.
even our ideas, all the energy flying around, everything that's compelling us to do what we do, we don't own it. It's coming from somewhere to us. It's all shared.
Mhm.
And when you see things like this, that it's all shared, that nothing is owned, it makes giving a lot easier in every way. The truth is that like the giving nature is, again, it's the only thing making this all possible. That's it.
Yeah, true.
I also think that people, myself included, overlook what we deem like simple forms of giving, like being there for your family, taking care of a household. I don't know that there might be like effective and ineffective giving, but ranking giving and trying to say like this is most important versus that, I think it comparison in general with anything obviously is not helpful. but it comes to mind on this topic because in reflection, I've learned that some of the people that I was looking around in my life at and saying like they're not giving, they need to be giving, in my mind, maybe they always have been.
In some way, even if it's a trigger for other people.
Yeah, even if it's not what you think they should be giving, but they're giving themselves by being here.
Just by existing, they're already serving their purpose. They're already giving by existing from your definition. It's interesting because a lot of people in the spiritual community talk about like divine timing, stay in alignment with your purpose. But if the only way we can find this like quote unquote alignment is through our intuition really only speaks to us in the present moment, does not speak to us from our past, does not speak to us from the future, like quite literally in the present moment, what is my intuition telling me to do? And so with somebody who maybe all they do is trigger people, I guess that's what their intuition is. I mean, if they're not tapped in, I don't know. This is an interesting topic. Like people who are not tapped into their intuition are still exactly where they're meant to be in that timeline of theirs, serving the purpose of this is how I want to play. This is how I want to play. This is how I want to show myself. And I'm not budging for anyone. How do we look at selfish people? And we've all been selfish. Point of giving is the fact that we are all giving right now just by existing, even to include all of the people who might be like committing atrocities in the world. What do you think about all that?
I think that that's what you just said is, yeah, we're all giving by existing prompts me to say we're all holding different energy. So what we're
Mhm.
doing by existing is holding different energy, and it all has to go somewhere. The extremes on either end quite literally craft the middle. So I find it more helpful to give thanks that people are holding this energy and that it's letting everything happen.
Mhm.
It gets into like eradication and thinking the world's better without one type of person, which just, I know not to be true. It doesn't mean there's not growth within those extremes. It doesn't mean we can't change the energy dynamic on the planet, as in like soften the extremes, keep the middle
Mhm.
wide. We collectively we can do anything we want to. But yeah, I go back to thanks that all these different life forms exist and they make it possible.
Mhm.
Like the people, I'm not really a Batman guy, but the people need Batman, right? In some way, the city needs Batman.
There's a guy wearing a Batman shirt on the bus today. Wait, I'm sorry. You're mentioning so you're mentioning Batman. How does he get?
I can't fully spell out the Batman metaphor. It might not be a good one. The idea being like, every hero has a villain, and without the villain, I don't know. I don't know how to put it. Like we don't know the depth of our collective consciousness without the villain.
That's true.
So it's working together. Extremely painful life circumstances often seem to make no sense, but they're teaching us. Everything's teaching us. And that's what we're doing here is we're all learning together. If we were all the same, there would be no learning. There might be peace. You could probably, create an image in your mind of everyone walking quietly to their bowl of rice, but then growth and change stagnate. So I've come to trust that what's happening is meant to happen. And then we have to choose within that, give ourselves, give our spirit selflessly.
The word selfless is interesting, isn't it? It's like it's like a double-edged sword. The ego does make us our identity just in this particular lifetime. It gives an identity to the soul we have. To scrape the ego from what it wants only for itself, but then also there is a part of the healthy self that I feel like is involved when we're giving too. Because in a way, it is an expression. It's what you said. It's an expression of ourselves when we give.
I think about the word or the phrase selfless all the time. I think I like the interpretation less self, like it's less for the self. Like it's a great place to start is there where just make it self less. Like eventually you'll get to it's not for yourself at all, but maybe start with like it's less for the self than it is for the all. And that invokes a letting go.
Would giving to the all also be giving to the self, though?
In my interpretation here, I'm the self I'm referencing doesn't exist. Like it's a
Mm.
construct. The you that you created in your head, like in total clarity, like there is no personal identity. You're sort of outside of time. It's yes, selfless giving is invoking that. It's the pure intuition and following it, letting all your desire fall to the side, all of it, truly wanting nothing in return.
What if you truly want the person to be happy, what you're giving?
Well, even that's like a dual phrase, right? Like you want the person to be happy. So there's two versions. You want your friend Chad to be really happy. Or it's like you want Chad to continue on his path, like, and that's your definition of happy. So it depends which lens you're looking through. Like, are you serving Chad's spirit here, or are you serving his construct of self? And this is a very common issue where
Mhm.
we give to make someone happy and please them, but it's not actually helping them in the long term. So it's actually keeping them in a loop that probably benefits our ego as well. And it's really hard to change these patterns, especially with loved ones or, people you're close to, or you're expanding your understanding of what true giving is, and you've been giving in one way, and now you have to change it. And this is a good example of you start to feel the future consequence of that change, and it's beneficial to hold your center and breathe and trust that you're doing what's best for everybody.
Mhm. How's your energy now?
Good. I wrote, in my life, everything has been given to me. Nothing has been taken, as I choose to alchemize darkness into light. Life's happenings are opportunities to rise to the occasion. Nothing has been taken. I've struggled with a victim mentality in my life a lot. It's easy to think that something has been taken from me. It's easy to find that perspective and sit in that.
Mhm.
But this perspective itself is a choice. We must choose to see these happenings as the result of our actions. And even when that doesn't add up or make any sense, we must choose to see them as, yeah, hurdles in our path that teach us how to jump and be strong and courageous. I think there's also been times, a little bit of a random reflection, but I think there's been times where I'm thinking about what you said about bringing yourself back to the, what I'm calling like the conscious center first. And I think there's been extended periods in my life where I've needed to slow down with all of my external attention and bring it back to me because I've been in mental shambles or I'm all knotted up. And in those circumstances, it is very important to reevaluate, bring your attention back to yourself, give to yourself regularly and daily in the form of
Mhm.
taking care of yourself. And sometimes this is the only work we have to do, and it can feel a little bit, I don't know if discouraging is the right word, or it can feel limited. Like this is all I have to give right now is focusing on myself. I know I have more to give than that. Like I mean so well, I understand this, and in reality, it's a practice, and the practice comes in implementing this understanding in daily life, choice of action. That's the only way to invoke this change.
When I think of myself giving to people, I actually imagine myself quite literally sending thoughts of love to people, which is what I'm doing. When I find myself meditating and go working through energies and names will pop up, faces will pop up. I think that because thoughts create matter, literal matter, and the intent of words carry energetically and reside in the body, I think and feel to myself, if I truly in my heart feel for this person, I send them I send them love, and hopefully that, you know, that gets to them. I feel like it does. And yeah, it's that thing about telepathy with people thinking of someone and then they text them that day or stuff like that. It has happened where I've had sessions with myself in meditation, sending out love, and then the person who came up in meditation will text me or reach out. I thought that that's also a way of giving too. Like when we're in meditation, we need to be in a state of our own internal peace in order to be able to connect to our intuition and give from a place of love. It's interesting because with technology, we can constantly be talking to so many people. And even though they're technologically distant, they're physically distant, we're still running into all of their energies. Everyone on TikTok and on all other social platforms. I still find myself having to go through a lot of energies. I understand finding the fine line of how much time to spend in meditation and what would be action, what would be actual intuitively led loving action.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That is action. That is loving action. That's, we want to rank these things with our constructs and say, this giving is better than that giving, but that is pure giving, giving your time and energy to understand another here. That's powerful. That's what love is. And then it leads to clarity. And in the clarity, you can act in a way that serves their spirit, not their self, right? Is what we're calling it.
Mm-hmm.
So you gain that clarity by sitting, and now you walk into the world way more prepared to actually give someone what they need, what will really help them. And without doing that, what you're talking about, sitting, understanding people, how could we truly give what's needed? It would be a guess, or it would be, something that we, some form of a projection. And that understanding only comes, in my experience, in reflective meditation, whether that's moving or action-based meditation or sitting meditation. It comes when your mind is quiet,
Mm-hmm.
or when your mind has stilled, which requires space from noise and requires gratitude for being here. Because within gratitude for being here, there's like built-in information that we're all here together.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to shut the door to love by thinking anything, really, because the truth is right in front of us, and it's very loving, very loving.
Can I ask you what you've given to yourself lately, as in a particular thing that you shared with me today?
Old me, right? Past me would have gone through a few more cycles of like guilt about spending money, especially in this world. And I learned along the way that I'll just walk you through it fully. Like I don't like buying brand new things anymore. It they got me as a kid, they tricked me. I remember being in Best Buy with all the TVs. Like they got me, they tricked me. And they planted a seed in my brain that new things were good, and but I have a perspective that everything in the world right now, like there's such an overcapacity of goods. So I found a used juicer. I figured it's probably helping the person who's selling it. It's helping me. It works perfectly. I have had some neglected, sort of like long-term systemic, mild to medium body things going on. I feel like my kidneys need a little bit of a detox for whatever reason. I feel like it'll be beneficial to myself and the people around me and help us all live slightly closer to a harmonious lifestyle. So for me, it's about like not getting caught in the weeds along the way of analyzing the money or this or that, but knowing internally that it's the right step forward, knowing that, hey, if I take care of it and treat it with respect, I can do the same thing and pass it on to someone else who needs it. So yeah, that was an example this week for me.
And what did you make?
I've been using the robot to spit out juice recipes. It was watermelon, a beet, cucumber, mint, lemon, a pinch of parsley, and I put a little cayenne pepper in there. The other day I did cucumber, celery, probably lemon, probably mint. Yeah, just playing around with it and trying to treat my body or treating my body with more respect, slowing down, listening daily to like what it needs, And trusting that, honestly, it's trusting that Earth is producing what we all need to be healthy and prosperous together.
Mhm.
It's here already, and we don't have to make anything up. We don't have to combine things and dry them out and cook them up, and it's here. So for me,
Mhm.
it's a step towards like raw foods and trusting that the earth is the natural medicine producer. And it's bringing people together. Like, it's cool. It's fun. It's a shareable thing in some situations. So I appreciate when it's doing all these things at once. That to me is a good sign that it's a good giving. It's creating some unity slowly and surely.
Is there anything else you would like to talk about in regards to giving?
I would encourage everyone to push themselves a little in the sense that the heart's call, when it first starts calling you up, it doesn't always feel easy. And if you're not used to answering, if that makes sense, which is a natural learning how to answer those calls, being courageous in giving to some extent, if it feels right and you know deep within you that it's the right thing to do, yeah, try it. See how it feels. Probably a little bit of a roller coaster, but it's worth it to live in the reality that we are all holding each other up in existence to some extent. So even if it's giving your understanding in, like you said, meditation, or it's letting a friend know, hey, I love you, dude. I miss you. Hope you're doing well. Reach out anytime, rather than think, hey, this might be weird or they might not receive it well. Just send your heartfelt message. Walk into this form of darkness of the unknown because it's one that you can, and it's probably going to help. What about you? Is there anything else you'd like to share on the topic?
No, I think we have a really great episode.
Do I sound too somber?
I wouldn't say two. I think it is necessary.
Yeah, in reflection, I feel like it happens.
Yeah, there is this constant feeling that I have of like, what else could I do? What am I missing? Is there something that I could be doing more of? Like, how many people should I reach out to? There is this constant feeling of like, who to reach out to when, because there is a part of me that always is kind of constantly worried someone killing themselves, Because I mean, I think the somber part is necessary to a certain degree because I don't really know a single person not going through something hard at the moment, whether it's someone losing their job or living with someone who's controlling or manipulative. Like it really does feel like so many people are going through so many things, which can be distracting in the concept of giving.
Right.
And like in regards to leaving the scarcity, the victim mindset, and going into personal sovereignty, inner peace, it takes long. The conscious effort to find internal peace is long. And and it starts with like making some really tough decisions right at the beginning. I've noticed having to say no to like someone you've lived with for a while, or saying no to the job you're working at, in order to provide space for giving it, what you said in the beginning, being willing to let go of things, but also being willing to let go of things in your life that have you in like a bond, have you in kind of like a restricted, limited bond of what you can and can't do with your time or a space, really. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, it's like freeing yourself up to be able to give, and then from a place of love. Something like that.
Definitely resonates, all of it. On the first sort of subtopic, you mentioned feeling like you're not doing enough, maybe, or things along that line. I think for me the line lies where when your center starts to break and you don't have peace, you're giving, I used the word tainted earlier, which a little bit of a harsh word, but it's true, right? Like you want to be in a sound state if you're going to be interacting with someone who needs giving in the first place. So every individual has intuition within them of where that line is. And it's important to keep your eye on it or your feeling on it just to make sure that everything can keep going. You can keep giving, keep adjusting, keep understanding, keep meeting your ever-changing needs personally. And then on the flip side, I've felt when I have a little excess energy, like I have more energy than I know what to do with on a certain day, or I'm feeling good. I'm gassed up because I went and bought flowers and they're growing in a pot and they look beautiful and I have energy for whatever reason. Is there a way I can share it? Is there someone who needs it?
Hmm.
And it becomes sort of a natural flow where if you start opening this window to the heart through understanding others and keeping them as a point of attention in your life, the heart will start speaking through that open window and sending signals of similar likeness, and you get better at listening and receiving and acting on them. I think there's a component of this. There's a component of giving where you do need to incorporate someone's sovereignty, someone's independence. No matter how much you want to help, sometimes it's up to the individual to leave that door open. And sometimes we close those doors and we're left to help ourselves, and that's what's needed at the time.
Hmm.
So it's a balancing act of checking in with that impulse that you need to help everyone or save everyone and balancing it with the reality that you can't save anyone. All you can do is give your heart and let go of the expectation. I think it's very impactful to sit with oneself and understand your own mind as a step one daily. Understand what's causing all these ideas to be constructed every single day. What is it? What's going on internally that is breaking your peace? I mean, I think this is the most important thing everyone can give to themselves that will have immediate effects on the world. If we can slow down enough to say, oh, anger's arising, why might that be? Oh, it's my expectations about this person. Oh, well, I shouldn't be putting my expectations on this person. All I can do is my best within this setting. this has like profound effects if you practice it every day.
Yeah, if we're not aware of our own emotions, of like why we're feeling these things, we're then reacting to everything that happens to us and then saying that things happened to us, things have been taken from us.
We're bringing that energy to everyone around us,
Mm-hmm.
which affects them too. We're showing up in the present moment unprepared to be our heart upon its calling if we're in our emotions. Not,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think if we're in our emotions, if we're bouncing around like a pinball in a machine, internally, how can we hear the heart's call at all? Whether that's like an emergency situation or just, a mindful, intuitive action. If we don't if we don't clear the noise out, we spread it.
Is there anything else?
I don't think so. I think we covered like a lot of great stuff.
That was great. That was awesome.
It could get to a flow if we kept talking about stuff where like that's a charming part of the podcast
Mm-hmm.
and you'd get better at like letting it be and we'd both get more refined and it could just all stay in. So, like honestly, at some point we could probably do a 2-hour take with no cuts. That's what
Ooh.
I think. Because that's what they do, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what them podcasters be doing.
Yeah, we could do it. If you
It
wanted
takes
me not
practice.
to, yeah, if you wanted me not to edit, like, I mean, I'm here for the person. If someone's like, "Hey, don't make any edits. Keep all of my all of the, silences." I'll do it.
I trust you completely to like pick the parts that feel heartfelt and impactful. I have no doubts that you can piece it together.
Thank you very much, ServeSpirit, for giving to this podcast with your insight, wisdom, and experiences. I'm really grateful for this conversation myself. I feel like I'm going to be listening to it. Well, I'm going to be listening to it when I'm editing it, but I think some of these lessons are going to come up again. This is a great discussion. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for hosting this conversation, adding such helpful insight and questions, helping expand some of these topics and delivering this content to your audience. I very much appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being you, and I hope to see you again soon.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.